Can you believe it? In May 1940, President Roosevelt stood before Congress and asked for something truly audacious: 50,000 airplanes a year. Across the Atlantic, the head of the German Air Force, Hermann Göring, just laughed it off. He called it desperate propaganda, convinced that America, a nation he saw as lazy and decadent, couldn't possibly switch from making cars and refrigerators to building a massive war machine. Well, Göring was about to learn a very hard lesson about the sleeping giant he had just mocked. Because America didn't just meet that impossible goal, it completely shattered it. By 1944, American factories were churning out nearly 100,000 aircraft a year. Over the entire war, the United States produced a staggering total of almost 300,000 military planes. To put that in perspective, that's more than 3 times what Germany managed to build during the entire conflict. How did this happen? How did a nation so unprepared for war transform itself into the arsenal of democracy? The story begins with a man named William Knudsen. He was the president of General Motors, one of the highest-paid executives in the world. But when his country called, he left his massive salary behind to work for the government for just $1 a year. His mission? To do for airplanes what he had already done for cars, turn them into a mass-produced commodity. He was the architect of the American production miracle, bringing the logic of the assembly line to the complex art of building warplanes. And nowhere was this miracle more visible than at a place called Willow Run, built by the Ford Motor Company. It was, at the time, the largest factory under one roof in the entire world, a true monument to American ambition. Now, it wasn't easy at first. The initial results were a disaster, a chaotic mess that led many to doubt if it could ever work. But they figured it out. By its peak in 1944, a fully assembled B-24 Liberator bomber, a massive four-engine beast, was rolling off the Willow Run assembly line every 63 minutes. A single American factory was outproducing the entire German aviation industry. While America was building, Germany was blinded by its own ideology. Hitler and Göring received accurate intelligence reports about America's soaring production numbers, but they refused to believe them. They were trapped in their own racist fantasies, convinced that a nation they called half Judaized and half negrified was incapable of organized, sustained warfare. They saw American freedom and consumer culture as weakness, not a source of strength. This colossal miscalculation would seal their fate. Back in the States, the workforce itself was undergoing a revolution. Before the war, women made up less than 1% of aircraft workers. By 1943, that number had exploded to 65%. Icons like Rosie the Riveter weren't just propaganda. They represented the millions of women who stepped into factories and onto assembly lines, proving that a democratic society could mobilize its entire population. This diverse, motivated workforce of free citizens proved far more efficient and innovative than the slave labor used in German factories. This industrial dominance quickly translated into overwhelming power on the battlefield. Think about D-Day. On that single day, the Allies flew over 11,000 combat aircraft. The Germans could only muster a few hundred in response. The sky belonged to the Allies. When American bomber fleets suffered heavy losses, the planes were replaced within weeks, a rate the Germans simply couldn't comprehend, let alone match. It was a war of attrition, and America's factories ensured it would be a war the Allies couldn't lose. The American system was also incredibly agile. When pilots in Europe reported a vulnerability in the B-17 Flying Fortress, engineers on the ground designed a new chin turret for forward defense. Within 60 days, brand new B-17s with the modification were rolling off the assembly line and heading to the front. This rapid feedback loop between the battlefield and the factory was something Germany's rigid, top-down command structure just couldn't replicate. The reliance on forced labor also led to widespread sabotage and a collapse in quality control at the worst possible time. And let's not forget the economic and logistical power behind it all. The war effort didn't bankrupt America. It created unprecedented prosperity. Unemployment vanished and personal incomes doubled. More than that, the U.S. managed to build supply, sustain massive armies across 2 oceans, thousands of miles from home, a logistical feat that was simply beyond the imagination of the German high command. In the end, even Hermann Göring had to face the truth. After his capture, awaiting trial, he finally admitted it. Said the Americans won through industrial power, not military prowess. We were not defeated by better soldiers, but by better factories. He finally understood that the war wasn't won just by tactics or bravery, but by the relentless, overwhelming output of American industry. It was a victory forged in steel, powered by assembly lines, and secured by the very democratic ideals the Nazis so viciously despised. It's a powerful reminder that wars are won not just on the battlefield, but also on the factory floor. The story of America's industrial mobilization in World War II is one of the most incredible achievements in modern history. Thanks for watching, and if you found this story as fascinating as I do, be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history.